Please welcome CEO of Bloomberg Philanthropies, Patty Harris.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to see everyone in person at the Bloomberg American Health Initiative Summit. And we're here today, obviously, because we recognize the gravity of the public health challenges before us. And while we've made progress, you've been listening, there still is so much more to be done. You know better than anybody else. As Bloomberg Fellows, we can't make more progress unless we work together and alongside strong partners. And that's why I am so pleased today to introduce a very special guest right now. She's one of Bloomberg Philanthropies' best partners in our work to curb opioid overdoses. And we're so pleased to have kicked off our partnership with her office about a year ago. But her leadership in public health doesn't stop there. Last year, she successfully repealed a New Mexico law that criminalized abortion. And she directed state funding to build an abortion clinic on the border of New Mexico and Texas after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. And this will not only expand abortion access in her state, but to neighboring states as well where it is illegal. She's also worked to promote common sense gun safety reform, and she's a proven leader on fighting climate change. Thanks to her, New Mexico passed a climate bill to transition the state to 100% carbon-free electricity by 2045, which will improve public health and create jobs. We're grateful that the people of New Mexico just re-elected her to serve another term as governor, and very grateful to have her here today. We're really lucky that she came to this conference. So please join me in welcoming Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham.
Not going to let all those other governors be taller than me. Patty, thank you for that warm introduction. Thank you to everyone who's participating today. And frankly, as all of us know, thank you to Bloomberg Philanthropies and for the hosting of the American Health Summit. And I'm one of those states that is the beneficiary of not only the global work we are all engaged in, but this is where the rubber meets the road. We put people right into the public health offices to shore up any number of our efforts. And in our state, making sure that we're tackling substance abuse and we're dealing it from both a harm reduction standpoint and a prevention aspect is critical to the well-being, certainly of our families in New Mexico. So a big shout out to Bloomberg. Thank you all so very much. And thanks for having me. I got into public health literally by accident, unlike most of you here today. I was working on supporting older folks and their families, and the truth is, everything is public health. Every single aspect. If we're going to talk about fulfilling our goals to make sure that people are healthy and happy and are successful and are reaching every single opportunity that we are identifying, then it is all public health. And I know that you're going to talk a lot about all the different social determinants. We just saw a panel on equity. All of these aspects are critical. But I want to take the giant step forward, and to some degree, for many of us, backwards. It's poverty. And I'm leading a state that, when I was elected, was the most impoverished state in the nation. I'm proud to tell you that we've moved out of poverty by 3 points, and that's exactly what we need to be doing. And now we're third in the country, and I intend for New Mexico to lead the United States in eradicating poverty, because when we eradicate poverty, every single issue that we're talking about here today gets addressed. Every single one. And while I don't want to be critical or negative, the reality is we're nibbling around the edges. Now, I represent a beautiful state, and my family's been there for literally hundreds of years. And many other New Mexicans have been there from time immemorial, thousands and thousands of years. And institutional, generational poverty has literally plagued our state for as long as, frankly, anyone here or anyone in New Mexico can remember. So we're tackling it from every aspect. So number one, we need progressive tax policy that lifts up working families in very meaningful ways, and they have to be sustained. So we have done that. We were the only state that was able to continue the child tax credit, which I will tell you has lifted, right? We're beating the averages, and while on average now the country's sort of losing ground, because that's not a sustainable tax credit, because it was only temporary at the federal level, New Mexico's the only state moving in the right direction, working every minute of every day to eradicate child poverty. We are also, right, we doubled the working families tax credit. We're increasing earned family income tax credits. We're making sure that we're reducing or eliminating taxes on retiree benefits. And in a state where grandparents are raising grandchildren at higher than the national averages, Social Security and military incomes cannot be taxed in our state. It's about making sure that we have enough money in the pockets of every single family. We are spending hundreds of millions on affordable housing and making sure that rental assistance doesn't become a one-off. It becomes a sustainable, regular practice, making sure that our working families have everything they need to be successful. Two, make sure that you're dealing with your families early in the system, as early as possible. So I want to talk about our educational reforms because they are, frankly, magnificent. And we are leading the country. And I want everyone else to follow our lead because it will make the differences so that you eliminate in one generation all of these issues related to poverty. All right? So, look, we have the most, I'm going to go at the far end. We have 45,000, so in a state with only 2 million people, that is a remarkable number of folks going back to college. We have free college, full-time, part-time, 2-year, 4-year, trades, certificates, licenses, anywhere, anytime. All of the other private sector money pays for living costs and all of the other aspects that really hamper anyone's ability to afford college in today's climate. We saw 4,000 additional New Mexicans go to college this last year. We're second in the country for enrollment. And while most of the country, as you know, is seeing a drop in enrollment, we saw the highest college enrollment in over a decade in the state of New Mexico. And we're going to keep that going. We called it a moonshot, $1.5 billion invested into public school, and I'm going to tell you that we now have the highest paid public education educators in the West. And we're going to have the highest paid educators, if I have anything to do with it, in America. And we're asking the legislature to underwrite their health care costs and starting by eliminating their health insurance premiums and having that be the responsibility of the state of New Mexico. We want them to stay. We want them to have healthy families. And when we ask the most critical folks to do this work, by golly, we shouldn't be impoverishing them and their families. All right, we're doing extended learning in the classroom. We're doing a thing called the Family Income Index, which is more money for individuals and kiddos in the classroom. We now have universal pre-K. So every 4-year-old is in, and we are this close to every 3-year-old in the state of New Mexico. We are now the only state that's got a constitutional right to pre-K, and quite frankly, that right now, Congress is going to ratify ratify that decision, I believe, on December 12th. We're going to be the only state in America that makes childcare a constitutional right in the state of New Mexico. Most New Mexico families already qualify for free childcare, not reduced, free. And I want every family in New Mexico to have free childcare. We've expanded maternal health, we've expanded Medicaid coverage for mothers and babies, and the federal government should do the same. We've expanded infant mental health, we're expanding home visiting, we're expanding all of the things that mean in that one generation, we are addressing every single issue that creates the negative outcomes, and requires all of us to be continuing our incredible studies on social determinants of health and equity. And the last thing, and I'm way over time, you gotta address the environment, and absolutely we are. We have leading methane and ozone rules. We're making sure that not only are we preventing all of our fossil fuel folks from putting any of our greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, we're working on strategies that pull carbon right out of the atmosphere. And as you all know, the federal government adopted New Mexico's rules, for clean air standards and methane pollution. If we do all of those things, clearly eradicating poverty, we will, in fact, in this country, lead the world in making sure that public health is the #1 issue, making a difference, seizing every opportunity. And before I go, I'm going to get the hook, I'm telling you, we have one more incredible announcement. In New Mexico, starting right now, no one pays for a meal in school. And we are leading the nation in addressing food insecurity in the country. And that's how you do it. And this doesn't mean just pizza slices and chocolate pudding for all my nutritional experts right here. This means farm to table, fresh food, scratch cooking, and incentivizing it in our schools. So I want to leave you with this. Every single good idea comes from this group right here today. You're making a difference for so many families, and really my job here today, in addition to going way over my time allotted, I'll never get invited back, was to tell you that this is the work that you do, that these policies are evidence-based, that they make a real difference, that you find the path and lead the way for states like mine to enact these policies and these investments and the families who depend on us. And it is my chance today to thank you from the bottom of my heart for making a difference for every New Mexico family, every child, every person who needs every aspect of our investment and intervention. You make a difference for everyone. You're leading the country, and I thank you.